Howdy everyone, and welcome back to The More You Grow. Have you ever seen those giant sunflowers and wanted to grow those in your garden but didn't know how? In this video, I'm going to tell you all the things you need to know to grow those giant sunflowers that are well over 12 foot tall and flowers bigger than your head. So let's get into it and let's go check it out. One really important thing to understand about sunflowers is there are so many different kinds out there that you can't just pick a sunflower and make it into a giant. You can only do as much as the genetics will let you do. So if you're trying to choose a giant, you're wanting to choose the varieties that are going to allow for that. Few examples, one of the ones I have back here, this one you see back here, that is a mammoth gray stripe. Those are one of my favorites to grow. They get very, very large sunflowers. They make edible sunflower seeds, and you can even roast the heads before they mature all the way, kind of like you would corn on a grill or something like that. The other varieties you could choose, another one that is great for growing the giant sunflowers is the Mongolian giant. That's going to be one that's going to get you lots of height, another large sunflower. There's the American giant. Basically, you're looking for ones that are going to give you a large single flower. It's not going to branch, because the more branches you have, the more energy it goes to each flower. Therefore, each flower will be smaller. So if you're trying to get a giant sunflower, you want to have a single flower, or you want to have a single-headed sunflower, and you want to get one with the genetic potential to reach those sizes. I'll leave a couple of those on the screen and down below, so that way you can check into those and figure out which variety is going to work best for you. Now that we've talked about the most important thing when picking a giant sunflower is choosing one that's going to be a giant, the next thing we have to do is we have to give it everything it needs to reach its full genetic potential, and that's going to be nutrients and water. As far as nutrients go, the biggest and best thing you can do for a sunflower to reach its full potential is heavily compost it. As much compost as you can get into that soil. Top dress the soil, mix in compost, add compost, however you want to do it. Good quality compost is going to be the key to getting a giant sunflower. Because here's the thing, you could add fertilizer to that, but that's kind of like saying I'm going to be healthy just because I take my vitamins. But if you don't have good healthy nutrition all throughout your day and all throughout your life, those vitamins aren't going to fix anything. So really, the compost is going to continually feed that flower to where it can reach those full sizes and not just wait for you to add fertilizer and then it can grow. So compost is key. Get as much good quality compost as you can, and I'll add this in lots of videos, but good quality compost means you should not be able to identify anything in it. No sticks, no bark, no mulch, no hay, whatever it is. There should be nothing left that you can identify. It should just look like good rich soil, and it should smell like good rich soil. If it stinks, if it has anything besides that rich earthy smell, don't buy it. Not worth it. It is going to do more harm to your garden than good. So I will do a video in the future on getting good quality compost and why it matters, so be looking for that. Let's get back to our sunflower. Water. That's going to be another huge factor in growing a giant sunflower. These big leaves, this big flower up here, all of this takes a lot of water. A lot of water. So the bigger the leaf on a plant, the faster it's going to lose water. Water as often as you can. I try to water every day for sure. If I can, twice a day if I'm home, to where I can water in the morning and in the evening. You want to avoid spraying the leaves as much as you can, because if those get water on them and then a lot of sunlight or a lot of heat, it can steam them a little bit, and it's also going to attract pests onto these guys. So you want to try to avoid watering the leaves and the flower, and water just at the base, and water thoroughly. The key is to water deep, water less frequently. That is going to be giving you a healthy, deep-rooted sunflower that can support itself, which leads me to the next point in growing a giant sunflower, which is support. So guys, these things are tall. We're talking over 15 feet in a lot of cases. I've grown them up to 20 feet tall. Plants that tall catch a lot of wind. Now, Sunflowers, they do have their ways of supporting themselves. They kind of have some anchor roots that they're really good at holding that up. Until they get some size on them and develop that stalk more, they're not gonna have a whole lot of support, and they could get blown over in a storm. So what I highly recommend is a tomato stick. Yeah, it's not a tomato, but those are gonna be the perfect thing. They're not gonna have cages around them. You don't have to try to put it over the sunflower or anything like that. I just stake them up, and I actually use some old grocery bags a lot of times and just cut them into strips and loosely tie them to the stake. That's just gonna give them a little bit more support until they can really establish themselves and then really get the size on them to where they can take storms and wind and things like that. As a little side note, you may be wondering why they're all drooping down. You may think, hey, didn't you just talk about getting these things watered? Yes, that could mean a water issue, but in these cases, they are full of seeds. They're starting to get heavy, and this is just what sunflowers do, is as they develop seeds, they start to weigh themselves down. And at a certain point, once they're matured, you can either harvest them as matured sunflower seeds to where you can roast them, do things like that, or you can save them and plant more later on. So if you have any more questions for me on how to grow a giant sunflower, what they require, or any kind of things like that, what I do with mine, leave it down in the comments. If you have any other questions or any suggestions for other videos, leave those down in the comments as well. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to like the video if you like what you saw here. Subscribe so that way you know when more videos are around, and hit that notification button so they tell you when they're posted. Till next time, guys, I hope you'll join me right here on The More You Grow.